How do you do? Thank you so much for having me today. My name is Eric Delattre. As well, it wasn't Peggy, it was Tammy. Mary Timmons was introduced me. Thank you, Mary. It's wonderful to be here. I appreciate your time. And I'm going to start by just giving you a little intro to what I'm here to talk to you about today. Tell you why I'm here to talk about it, and then I'll get into some interesting facts and supporting information on what we're focused on trying to accomplish, and the benefits for businesses, for the community. I think you'll find it it's an issue that can be a little bothersome, but I think together as business leaders, community leaders, we can make a big impact. So I'm happy to be here and talk to you a little bit about it. So my name's Eric Delattre. As Mary was saying, I'm a small business owner. And recently I have a brother who's with the Public Interest Research Group, which is what the PIRG stands for. He's been with them for a long time, and I've been thinking about trying to join their efforts in some way for years. And this was the year that I gave him a call and said, hey, can I join in some small way, because I'm still got my family, my business, and all these things that keep me busy, but I wanted to try to dip my toe in that water. And so I'm kind of working as a 10-hour-a-week part-time consultant for very little compensation. I don't know if I could switch jobs quite yet to this full-time, because it won't cover the expense, but I'm happy to be able to do this in a small way. So the project that I'm working on is building a business coalition to support the broad effort in the state of Minnesota and nationally for tobacco-free works. It's the business coalition is really business leaders, individuals. I'm focused on business leaders to support our efforts to reduce youth tobacco use. We see a lot of marketing, flavored tobacco products. I know when I was in high school, it was menthol cigarettes. Now we're seeing all sorts of products that it's pretty easy to make an argument that there's an element of marketing to a younger audience. So our overall effort is to try to reduce that by eventually legislation to eliminate, and if not reduce, eliminate, take flavored tobacco products off the market. Move on to my next slide. So I talked to you a little bit about how this affects our state, our businesses, and our workforce. This is the part that really got me interested, because as a small business person, I've run into this issue myself. It has the tobacco smoking related, whether it's vape, cigars, cigarettes, tobacco in general, has a big effect on our healthcare costs. 8.32 billion in this state alone. You may have heard recently about a trial between the state AG and TRIA. That was not focused on the issue that I'm here really to talk about. It wasn't in a broad sense, but we're not the only organization trying to have an effect on youth tobacco use. So I was happy to see that go through, and at the last minute they settled. I'm surprised they ever let it go to trial, but it does have a big effect. And I believe that some of that money will be filtered towards the healthcare industry. to support cessation programs and hopefully if what I'm doing by speaking here and spreading the word, it'll build support behind the scenes so that when the broader organization goes to do work on getting legislation passed at the local, state, community, and federal level, we'll have a strong support mechanism for that. I don't know about you, but I've personally, I guess the biggest example, I talk a little bit about business there. I have 3 kids that just pretty recently finished high school.
You hold the mic a little closer.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Yeah. How's that? And this flavored tobacco issue really came to a head with me and my family and my kids in their high school years with flavored vape products. I was coaching basketball for a little 9th grade team, and so we're pretty involved parents. I was around the school a lot. Kids were using this stuff everywhere, and it was, I just couldn't believe how quickly it seemed like it kind of took hold and became a really popular thing to do. Now you can imagine the administrators at the school, the police, parents, coaches, from a physical aspect, everybody was really concerned, and there's some limits to what you can do from any of those aspects. So when I heard about, when my brother kind of presented me with this opportunity to build a business coalition, for me personally, that was the biggest eye opener to, okay, now I understand kind of what you're focused on in terms of eventually getting legislation passed, because I just saw it right in front of my eyes. Thankfully, not with my children, but with their best friends, some of their really good friends, intellectual friends, athlete friends, all their friends. And I just couldn't believe that it had taken hold. And then since I've learned more and more, digging into this flavored tobacco issue, it really does look to me like, for a long time, and it's diminishing, there's been a great effort to kind of put together a marketing plan that doesn't explicitly state that we're gonna go after everyone under 18, but it really felt that way to me when I did some investigation. So it hooks kids, and kids turn into adults, and adults join the workforce, and it has a really big impact, not only in an office setting, but in a manufacturing setting, certainly in a healthcare setting. I laugh. I was with my father-in-law, who's a retired doctor, who smoked when he was younger. Now, I don't know this for a fact. I never saw him. My wife did, though. It just struck me, yeah, back 20, 30, 40 years ago, it was a very common thing. We've come a long way. And I think my focus was not, hey, let's try to take away the rights of citizens to do what they want, but this specific flavored tobacco geared at kids, I think it's pretty easy to see the evidence that reducing that, or at least eliminating the ability of for-profit companies to go market to that market is just a bad idea.
So Eric,
Yes.
a question, when people start with the vaping, which I don't understand other than it probably tastes good, do they continue with that into adulthood, or do they switch to regular tobacco?
Well, I think the stats are that they just continue to vape. Yeah, and bless their hearts, there's a lot of people who in trying to quit smoking would switch to a vape product, which is another way that they've kind of marketed that. Hey, take away some of the negative effects of smoking versus this vaporized form that I didn't even realize what a vape, how it really operated, but they're electronic. They create a vapor, they mix the nicotine in there. And like these kids that I would see at the high school, that was my kind of eye to eye. It looks like they're puffing away in a cigar, inhale, boom, big cloud of vape coming out. So to answer your question, I think the stats would support that people that take it up at a young age will continue to use it in that form.
And it still goes in there, well,
Right.
part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And, with a lot of, with all tobacco products, it's the nicotine that's in there that, doesn't matter that it's grape flavored or cherry or watermelon or whatever the hot flavor at Sebastian Joe's might be, and they put that on the packaging. It's the nicotine and well, it's really the nicotine that is so highly addictive. And it can be incredibly difficult to quit. Which is what's so sad about, I would say children being introduced to that, below an age where they're able to purchase any of that. Interesting little anecdote. There were kids at a high school that will remain unnamed that were setting up post office boxes in neighboring towns so that they could go and get their vape stuff and have it delivered to the PO box. And then, the kid who came up with, or kids who came up with this, devious idea, they'd go out and set up their little shop and be like, yeah, Joe, meet me behind the gym. So they obviously were addicted because they were, going to great lengths to kind of set that up and put themselves in a position to get it without mom and dad knowing or anyone else.
Is it illegal for kids?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. So in kind of giving you an overview of what are some of the negative sides, I want to talk a little bit more about the benefits of trying to reduce youth tobacco use. So we've got increasing issues with workforce availability. It comes into play for me. I see it personally in the business that I run every day. I use a lot of trucking. And because of overall workforce tightness, prices are going up. The workforce that's available is lower. And the end result is there's been periods in the last especially last 2 years, where in that particular industry, not only workforce reduction, price increasing, but big companies that I talk to are concerned about their drivers using tobacco products to stay awake instead of caffeine, taking breaks, fiddling with this and that. It's a safety issue. And I kind of scratched my head. I'm like, really? I was talking to somebody who runs a transportation business and inviting them to join our business coalition and, explaining my personal experience with my kids in high school. And he immediately dove right into explaining his point of view on what the negative effects were on the workforce. He said, yeah, I'm already supporting lobbying at my state, and this was in Tennessee, to try to join forces with like-minded organizations to reduce it, because he's having so many workforce issues. Higher productivity, reduced healthcare costs, and just general community health and wellness. I think it's been really interesting for me to go and speak. I spend a lot of my time trying to line up Rotarian opportunities for me to come and speak. But building this business coalition is a little part of the overall national, local, state, and national plan to support the people that are within Tobacco Free Works and within PIRG, who will be lobbying Congress, trying to find senators and Congress people that are going to be supportive of putting together a bill, get the bill into committee, and then, not a big surprise, when the chips are down and they're introducing legislation, the other side of the lobby is tobacco companies, and they've got extremely deep pockets, and they're very well connected, and they're great at doing what their objective is, which is to kill it. And there's all sorts of interesting reasons that they come up with. So we need a broad base of support from a personal, individual standpoint. The business coalition is easy for me to understand, because as a small business owner, it's easy for me to see the benefits of endorsing a mission statement that basically, it's not a fundraising effort. I'm certainly not here to raise any funds today. But I would say I would be happy to have any interested parties send me information about a business owner that that I could communicate with, to explain what I'm trying to build here with the business coalition. And I don't know to what extent you have a list of Rotarian members, but I would be happy to send an introductory email to tell them what I'm working on, and invite them to join the business coalition. I've had about 25 businesses join, and it's very simple, endorsing our mission statement. Basically, they're just whoever the ultimate top person is at a business or a business owner. By endorsing, they're saying that they understand our mission statement, where our ultimate goal is to get legislation passed to reduce or eliminate flavored tobacco product sales to youth. And it was an easy thing for me to do, and a surprisingly difficult thing to reach through to business owners, because they're so busy. I'll get through to someone and can't return the email. Oh, I've got this going on. And I think it's typical everyday life for anyone, however your working day goes, whether you're at the tip top or not. There's a lot of support, but actually getting that endorsement is not an easy thing. So I would welcome your support as a group, and if there is a list of emails that I could send my information to, I don't know if that is breaking protocol, but I'd be happy to do that.
You can give me your information and I'll send it out. We aren't gonna give out the list to our members.
Right.
But we could give them.
Oh, wonderful.
Send it out to them.
Right. Yeah.
And I can connect you with other Rotary clubs
Great.
for speaking.
Great. Oh, that would be wonderful. And maybe I've contacted some of the big, well, I don't know if they're big or not, but some that I've contacted are scheduling into 2024.
Yeah.
And I think for this specific project, my goal is to get to 50 businesses and that have endorsed the mission statement by the end of August. So,
Wow.
so I'm running out of time to schedule. I tried to start right away in April and they're like, you need to gonna contact about 150 Rotaries and you'll speak to 3. And I'm like, oh no, I can be simple. And I've spoken to 3. But I'd love to speak to 4. Yeah.
Sounds like working with businesses to get them to sponsor Taste and Serve. Which is
Right,
the same thing.
Right. Well, yeah,
Great idea.
yeah, right.
Eric, I was just gonna add that we produce a weekly newsletter with a recap of the previous week's speaker. So we'll put an article in our newsletter that talks about your presentation.
Great.
Include your contact information and maybe people are getting more information.
Good, wonderful. That really sums it up for kind of the information I wanted to give you and try to explain what this business coalition to reduce, youth tobacco use is all about. I'm happy to entertain any questions.
So you're targeting the flavored types of vaping now rather than the whole industry.
That's right. Yeah, I'll give you an example. So Minneapolis, the city of Minneapolis had been lobbied by both PIRG, previous to me being involved on this specific campaign. They passed an ordinance that there's no flavored tobacco products can be sold within the city. What does that mean? You walk into a convenience store. Oh, I want the grape Jewel. I'm not sure all the names of these different vape products, but I need a 12-pack of grape Jewel. We don't sell it here. Now you can go to the next city and you might find that they don't have that ordinance, and that in fact is the case. So it's typical at the community, city, state, federal. It's kind of a building block. So part of the reason that this business coalition is so important is, well, okay, obviously we've got some businesses and people, individuals that made a push to have that get to the Minneapolis City Council, get voted on and passed. I think the same thing will happen. And that one, I think in the lobbying efforts, when they got in committees at the state legislature, that the main focus of the discussion was on flavored products, which are typically vape products. I mean, there's menthol cigarettes, and that's a big issue. But I don't think the sales, I mean, there's more kids under 18 that use flavored vape than there are adults. That's one of the stats for Minnesota. I'm like, what? Just kind of mind blowing.
What is the cost comparison between the regular, what I would call a regular cigarette and a vape flavored?
That's a good question. I can get you an answer.
Okay,
I don't have one right now.
all right.
My guess is that it depends on the way you use that, smoking versus vaping. That's just my kind of common sense thought about it right off the top of my head. Is that it's probably a little cheaper per use for the vape product?
How do these young kids afford it? That's what I'm wondering.
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, it's not cheap. Yeah. I used to buy a lot of grape bubble gum when I was a kid. And I was always like, I'd see a glass bottle of Coke laying on the side of the road. I'm like, 5 cents. I go down to the store and cash in my glass bottle. And then, eventually I got a job when I was, 14. And most of that I could spend on what I wanted. But I don't know where these kids are getting the money You know, whether it's an allowance thing that they just keep a secret from mom and dad or what. Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as a high school principal, I ran into all of this, and I tried to educate my parents as much as possible, because most of these vaping tools are electronic and are charged through a USB.
Right.
And, you know, 10 years ago, kids were just super excited that they had all of this electronic stuff, but the parents had no clue. But said, oh, I need it for math class, it's a USB drive, you know,
But it was really a vape.
but it was really big.
Yeah,
And they continue to make them look like that.
right.
The parents don't have a clue.
Yeah.
And the parents try to say, well, you know.
That
they're putting
specific,
it right into their computer and it's a vape.
that was, I know that was, I haven't read the, all the court documents from this Altria case, the Jewel case that was in Minnesota and a bunch of other states, but that was one of the points of evidence. That's like, you know, dude, if you're marketing this to adults, does it really need to be disguised as USB? I mean, you know, the evidence is pretty clear on that one. That's amazing. So did you find any tools that were helpful as a principal?
Well, no, because they're always 2 steps ahead of you anyway.
Yeah, right,
That's why I was a pretty good principal. I didn't wait far enough.
right. Yeah, yes,
Somebody smokes a cigarette, you're a non-smoker and you're close to them afterwards, you know that they will smoke. Yeah. Is that true of vaping or does it not have that same?
it is true, but not to the same degree.
So
That's
hard
the
to-
way I would say, yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
you
as
know,
close as you get to it, it's a great flavor.
correct,
It's water.
Right.
That's a mist that goes out that dissipates like humidity in the air.
and
But
that,
it's not necessarily graping, you're not putting a great flavor in the air.
that's right,
Um,
Yeah.
And you might
So
smell
hard
their
to
breath.
detect it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard.
Yeah. yeah. No, I have,
Especially if they're chewing gum.
right, yeah, I have memories of my kids being at home and one of their friends is vaping, you know, they're playing I mean, they'd be playing a game of basketball. That's what just blew my mind. It's like, and then, you know, I'm taking a break to vape and I'm like, what are you guys doing? Joey, I'm calling your dad. Well, you know, what is that? Oh, nothing, Mr. Delattre. No. Oh, no, it's my USB, you know, and the only way I could tell was from the vapor that looked like smoke, but there was a smell, nothing like a cigarette, but kind of a sweet smell. Yeah,
On the way over here today, listening to NPR, the whole news story was around the August 1st cannabis law going into it.
Mm,
And specifically they were interviewing someone with the chamber and the effects on business and what businesses need to do to prepare for that August 1st legal open house essentially, and how that impacts workforce. And I just see a lot of synergy, I guess, with what you're doing and the impact to businesses and workforce and keeping a healthy workforce, keeping a workforce that's alert and capable of doing their jobs.
yeah,
With not just tobacco, but now with the cannabis law on August 1st. And then as parents, there's just so much to be thinking about and where to go.
yeah. I think you're absolutely right. When I was speaking at Orono Rotary, the chief of police is a Rotarian, and we were talking, have a similar discussion